the seat couldn't get much hotter for Brian Daboll, unless you put it in a brick oven and served it up as New York style pizza. Can the New York Football Giants improve in 2025 and save their coach's job? We're about to find out on Hill Time Sports. Let's go! What's up, everybody? This is Hill Time Sports. I'm your host, Trenton, and today we're talking about those New York Football Giants who finished 3-14, which was good for, or bad for, fourth in the NFC East, where the defending Philadelphia Eagles reigned supreme and the Washington Commanders were not far behind. As a football fan, it's sad to see a once perennial contender go down the dump like this, but as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, yes. Now, the Giants were abysmal. They were worse than the Titans in points per game with 16.1, 31st in the league. Team combined for 3,228 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. The offense was mostly led by New York's favorite son, Daniel Jones. Move over, Phil Simms. We got a new sheriff in town. Or was it Eli Manning? One or the other. It doesn't matter. Those two quarterbacks move out of the way. You guys had Daniel Jones, and he stunk up the joint so much so that you guys released him mid-season or towards the end of the season. I can't remember. He just sucks. 28th in passing yards, 189.9 in the league per game, 32nd. That's worse than the Browns. That's worse than Titans. And if it wasn't for the Titans and the Browns, you guys would have the number one pick. And you guys probably would have done something with it. You guys did get trade for Eli Manning, and that turned your franchise around, but not to be this year. 23rd in rush yards with 1,783, 104.9, which isn't so bad when you look at the rest of the league. 27th in third downs, 35.3%. You guys were getting off the field and allowing your defense to be run over all season long. 32nd, the worst in the league in the red zone with 43.2. You guys were allergic to scoring touchdowns and allergic to stopping people when they were trying to get touchdowns. Dang, I wish off the top of my head I could come up with better analogies, but that's the best you guys are going to get right now until I get my improv chops up. Malik Neighbors was your best receiver, one of the best players on your team. Malik Neighbors had 1,204 yards, 7 touchdowns. He was the 6th ranked receiver in fantasy football, which is pretty good considering that he had Drek like Daniel Jones pop gunning it to him. Devin Singletary ranked 44th with 437 yards, 4 touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy, 839 yards. Defense, 5,896 yards, 24th amongst fantasy football teams, or defenses, whatever. 8th in passing yards allowed. Wait, hold on. I messed that up. That's 24th in the league with 346.8 yards per game. All right. 8th in passing yards allowed. You guys defensively are solid, in my opinion. You're not great, but you're not. Hold on. Yeah, you guys were bad on rushing defense, but you guys were good in pass defense. A lot of these teams that I'm seeing that were bottom half teams, I think a lot of it has to do with bad offense, and teams are just not throwing the ball on you anymore because you guys are so far behind. But yeah, 8th in passing defense, which yards allowed, 9th in passing touchdowns allowed, 23, and 31st in the league with 5 interceptions. You guys are going to have to pick that up to compete next season, which maybe with Abdul Carter, you guys might do that. 27th in rush yards allowed, 136.2. Allowed 18 touchdowns on the ground, which was good for bottom half of the league. I can't read the number that I wrote. 11th in red zone defense, 53.7%. and 40.3% on third down, good for 19th. Now I'm going to say this about your red zone defense. Your red zone defense is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's the other parts of your guys' game that was terrible last year. I mean, it's been so long that I think the Giants have had the worst record since 2017 after going to the Super Bowl in 2007, beating the Patriots, then in 2011 beating the Patriots again, and then after that you wet the bed. Eli Manning became a shell of average. He became a shell of whatever he was before. Not an all-time great quarterback, but he was good in the playoffs. I would take Peyton in the regular season and Eli in the playoffs if I could do that. But 23rd ranked defense in fantasy football. So you guys were definitely in the bottom half. Like I said, worst record since 2017. And in the offseason, you guys signed people like Jameis Winston, 30 for 30, and Russell Wilson, who I think he's in the back end of his career. I don't know how you guys need a running game. In order for Russell Wilson to succeed, you need a running game because that's how you guys they ran the offense in Seattle when he had the most success. Had a great running game, and then he ran off of that. He threw the ball off of that. You drafted Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick, which I think will be one of the best picks in the draft, if not the best defensive player in that draft class. Jackson Dart, kind of a reach in my opinion. Luckily, he will be sitting behind Jameis Winston. And is it a good thing that he's sitting behind Jameis Winston? Probably not, but Russell Wilson can teach him a few things. Drafted Darius Alexander to go along with that defensive front. Cam Scatabo, the running back, Marcus Mbao, offensive line for Purdue, Thomas Fidone, tight end, and Corey Black, the cornerback. My brother has a lot to say. My brother has a lot to say about these New York Football Giants, and he's got another hot take for y'all. It's time for Tony's Takes.
Now we have the New York Football Giants. And let me go a little bit on the New York Football Giants. Everybody say, oh, they're having a draft. They did such a great job. It's so all good, all this and that. But let's hold the brakes for a second. It's the New York Giants. They haven't been good in a while. Now, let me explain why. We always say, oh, they got a generational player in Abdul Carter. And I really hope he is. I truly, truly hope he's a generational guy. He was the top number one in my books. But I always want us to remember, when they have one of the top defensive end in the draft, they always say, oh, he's a can't-miss prospect. He is going to be an all-pro player for years to come. They say that about Jadeveon Clowney. They say that about Chase Young. They say that all the Thibodeau. The Giants drafted him. He's really not that great. He's okay. He's not that great. But let's ease up on Abdul Carter. He's going to be a great player for 10 years to come. I hope he does. Trust me, I hope he does. So he go to the Philadelphia Eagles when the Giants continue to be terrible. And then they draft Jackson Dart. He does. If you watch their John Gruden, show with on Barstool, he doesn't even know what a cadence is. He doesn't have a cadence. He doesn't know what a cadence is. He had, trouble reading, zone defenses. If it's man-to-man, perfect. But he had trouble, throwing against zone coverage. So that scares me, especially in the NFC East. Got to compete against the Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champions. Then you got the Washington Commanders, the NFC Championship. And you can't sleep on the Cowboys. I know everybody wants to joke about the Cowboys. Trust me, they haven't won since I've been alive. So, but the Cowboys are always good. I mean, last year they weren't all right, but they did pretty decent. So the Giants are going to be the worst in the division. I'm sorry. They're going to be the worst. And I'll stick by that. Jackson Dart will be a bust. They wanted an Eli Manning 2.0, a little bit better, a little bit faster, but it ain't going to amount. He doesn't even have a cadence, can't read his zone defense. Watch the film. So that's my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments.
All right. I really think that defensively they're going to be great. I I really think that they're building a defensive front that'll rival a lot of these teams that are working towards that. I just don't see where they compete with teams like the Eagles or the Commanders or even Dallas. Dallas is a team that's slept on a lot. I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan. I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, but they're a better team than what their record was last year. The New York Giants are in a complete rebuild, and it's going to be another couple of years, in my opinion, maybe more before the Giants start seeing any progress with their team. And I'm just being an honest NFL fan or random internet guy talking about football, which I totally love doing. As an Eagles fan, I don't want them to be good anytime soon. They could be bad for the rest of my life, and I'd be happy, because more championships opportunities for the Eagles. But when the Giants are good, that's not a good thing for us Eagles fans. But we've had some good battles. There was Tiki Barber, Eli Manning, and then the whole back and forth in the 2000s and 2010s, which I really liked. But since then, the Giants haven't done. I'm trying not to say you guys. The Giants haven't really done much. I think in another 2 years, if you draft a good quarterback, if Jackson Dart pans out, then great. If he doesn't, then you're gonna have to draft a quarterback. Malik Neighbors is definitely a promising receiver, and I think he will be one of the top receivers in fantasy football and in the league next season. That's a hot take from me. I think a good running game will do you guys justice. I think maybe some back end help. The defensive front is going to be solid. You're probably going to lose Thibodeau to wherever he goes, if he resigns or not. If he doesn't resign, then yeah, you're losing him. Whatever. I'm skipping that. But New York Football Giants probably last in the division again, unless Dallas completely wets the bed like they did this year, and maybe even worse than they did this year. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This has been Hill Time Sports. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell to see more content. And I'll see you in the next video, where we're going to cover them. Who's next? The Patriots. New England Patriots are next. See you later.